Hello viewers, this is your host Ashish Chopra once again welcoming you to your own very program, To the Point, where we discuss issues which are current, issues which are past, and we meet and talk to people who are not only trying to make a difference in the lives of others but also to themselves. Today we have a very interesting guest with us, Dr. Jayanta Madhab, who is the former economic advisor to the Chief Minister of Assam and is one of the most renowned economists this country has had. Welcome to Northeast Television, Dr.
Thank
Madhav.
you. Thank you.
Dr. Madhav, you had been away from Assam for a good 20-25 years, and then only a few years back you came back. So
37 years.
Oh, you were away for 37 years.
From 1958 till 1994.
When did you come back to Assam?
Well, I came back to Assam in 94, settled down. I mean, partially settled down. I still live in Delhi. Partly I live in Delhi, partly in Guwahati. And since 94, I have been continuously doing this, 15 days here or 20 days here, 10 days in Delhi.
You were the founding CMD of NEDFi. Was it your idea to establish NEDFi and influence various agencies in the central government that such a body should be established?
No, it was actually before. It was when Dr. Manmohan Singh got elected from Assam and he became the finance minister. And then he constituted a committee called the Barthakur Committee, Inderjit Barthakur. Who headed that committee.
She's now a member of the NEC.
NEC, right. And during that Barthakur committee report, and they had suggested quite a number of things for the development of Northeast. One of the suggestions was creation of a Northeast bank, a development bank. And that's how it got it. And the assignment was given to IDBI to set up. And then, of course, in the budget of 1995-96, Manmohan Singh put up that proposal, which was adopted by the parliament, to set up a bank. Then they were looking for people. They first approached me, but at that time I was busy setting up another venture of mine. That was another commercial bank, namely a Global Trust Bank. Which was just coming in, so I had difficulty in moving out from there. But on insistence, I took up that challenge and I stayed there for 5.5 years and steered it, and it became a great institution for the Northeast.
Now, after 37 years, it was like a homecoming back to you, because when you left as a youngster and you came back as a very seasoned man, having been through all over the world. What was the changes that you saw in the Assam of then and in Assam of now?
You see, I left Assam in 1958. That time, Guwahati was a very small city. And in fact, number of cars you can count. It is so much so. When I came back, there was a big difference. Difference being that the railway headquarters been moved in, the refineries were there, refineries are there, and the government moved in, and then tea auction center, which made quite a number of differences as far as the warehouses, trucking, offices are concerned, and quite a lot of difference. But again, there were other type of difference. That is the little moral degradation, poor governance. Those are the things happened when I saw and when I left.
Now that you spent a good 5 years with the government, after you relinquished charge as chairman of NEDFi.
I spent 3 years.
3 years as the economic advisor to the chief minister. What was your agenda when you took over as the economic advisor to the chief minister?
Well, we had a talk, and in fact, I joined him only at the third call. He gave me a free hand but I discussed with him that I will work on policy changes. Take for example the finances. Finances were in doldrum, and finances have certainly improved over the years. And in fact, that was one of the keystone of the Tarun Gogoi's government.
Coming back to power again.
Again,
also.
absolutely. And then, of course, there are a lot of developments have taken place. And for example, we drafted the Budget Management and Fiscal Responsibility Bill, which says that very stringent clauses were there. I don't think any other states have that. Like, for example, if you appoint persons without sanction, you will be liable for imprisonment for 3 years. And if you spend more money than what was sanctioned, you are again liable for 3 years rigorous imprisonment. These are very stringent conditions, but Cabinet approved that.
But are they actually being implemented in the real sense, or is it just on paper like most conditions that are always drawn up?
Well, I would say that till now it has been more or less. I mean, if at all it is a violation, it is a very marginal violation. But I think it is more or less on tune.
You have also prepared a very important report on employment in the state. In fact, when I've been talking to you for a period, at least 1 year now, you have been very actively working on the employment generation report. Now that the report is complete, what are your findings on this present report?
Okay, let me go back a little bit about the history. That is that when Dr. Manmohan Singh, as a Prime Minister, made his first visit here, he asked me, and included also the government here, that to prepare a scheme for the unemployed, because he knows the seriousness of the problem. And therefore, the Chief Minister constituted a committee with me as the chairman, and there were others, and to draft an employment generation program. And first of all, then we found we didn't know enough about the unemployed. Their characteristics, their requirement, their inclinations, their assets, etc. And but be that as it may, since the government doesn't wait for these things to find out, and we prepared a scheme. It's called the Mission to Generate Employment and to Stimulate the Economy of Assam. This was submitted to the Planning Commission, and then we gave a presentation to the full Planning Commission. They have accepted in principle, and in fact budgeted, allocated money for this current fiscal year. So that is on. I'll come back to it, what it is. And after that, we also did what was originally we thought of. That is to find out the nature of the unemployed. As I said, we do not know enough of the unemployed. For example, from 1980, it was only 3.5 lakhs of unemployed in the unemployment exchanges.
Now we have over 25 lakhs.
We have about 23 lakhs. That is quite a sum. So that was really the worrying part. And then other characteristics also we have found. And this survey we have concluded, this is the first time government of Assam has done a survey on the unemployed with all the characteristics that needs to be found. And this has been completed and submitted to the government of Assam as well as to the government of India.
One of the major factors of political instability is economics, and coupled with that is also the high level of education and large amount of unemployed youth that are actually lingering without doing anything. They're sitting idle, and also considering the fact that almost 65% of the electorate of this country is going to be of youth, and now of Assam. 61% of the electorate of of Assam is the youth. Now it's a serious issue if they are unemployed, because when they are going to choose a government, obviously they would want jobs. Now government as such has its limitations. They cannot provide jobs to everybody. How would you address an issue like that? Because it's a very, very serious problem.
Yeah, interesting point, really. And that is in fact the crux of the problem. When we were looking at it, we were looking at who were the unemployed. And then we were looking at the characteristics of these people. Then we were looking at the education system. That led me to look at the education system. And what we found? We found that in Assam, that the dropouts are tremendous. From the primary to the secondary level, it is 67% dropout. And from primary to the secondary level, primary to elementary level is 67, primary to secondary level it is 87%, and primary to higher secondary level it is 97%. So it is the dropouts are terrible. Secondly, those few who go to the colleges and they opt for 75% opts for Bachelor of Arts, and 12% for science, 6% for commerce, and 0.4% goes for technical and other related studies. So with this profile, you cannot really provide employment. It is impossible for any government to provide employment. So therefore, we were looking for something which, first of all, of course, what is required is looking at the education system itself. In fact, my first memo to Chief Minister was, within 14 days of my assuming office, it is about the education system. That some expert committee should really look into our education system and what is required in next 20 years in Assam as well as in India as well as abroad. Because Assamese need not work in Assam only. It can be, they can work in India as well as abroad, which is happening now. And so that was my first memo to Chief Minister. But unfortunately, he passed it on to the Education Minister. And unfortunately, Education Minister never found the time to discuss with me. But in any case, coming back to it, so this is a big problem. And 23 lakhs, and mostly, shall I say, uneducated, without any technical training, without any skills. So therefore, any government will have difficulty. But what we have found, that over the years they have found that the government is incapable of providing jobs for them. This realization has come despite the fact, of course, you will see large number of lakhs of people coming or applying for a few government jobs or railway jobs.
But I guess that's a mindset, because a government job psychologically gives them that security.
Security, absolutely.
More than anything else.
Absolutely.
But sir, how do you address this issue of unemployment? Because I still would like to know that if, as you say, that a lot of them are not skilled, and if they remain unemployed, obviously other agencies will take advantage, and this will also be a factor which will lead to their frustration. And that frustrating mindset could even lead to, anti-social activity.
Absolutely.
And also lead to insurgency in one way, because a lot of insurgent groups are recruiting.
These are the potential recruits.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, some via media has to be found out, because each individual has some sort of a talent. And how would you try and identify that talent whereby they can have their, something in terms of self-sustenance?
Yeah.
Is there any thrust on micro-enterprise development?
What we did, when we did this survey, we found we were looking at what is their trainings. That means formal training as well as informal training, in the sense that we are asking if you have cows and buffaloes in your household. That means that person knows how to rear these buffaloes and the cows. Or if you have a pond in your fisheries, if you cultivate paddy or some other crops, all these informations are gathered. So we are trying to capitalize that training and provide what we call the self-employment. And one other thing we have found is that now a large number of people wants to be self-employed rather than going for the government jobs which are not available. Of course, they will all the time will try, because as you said, it is a security that provides a security, and but yet they will try for self-employment. And it has to be first, we cannot do anything which is something not quite conversant to them. It has to be something which they know, which they have seen, which they can do. Those are the sectors like agriculture, horticulture, fishery, dairy, handlooms, handicrafts.
Primarily agro-based to a large extent.
Agro-horticulture based. But then the emphasis should be on cash crops, which yields much more than what normally other crops
Assam
provide.
and Northeast by and large has always had a tradition of single crop.
That's right.
Now, and that is why primarily they have sort of, it's been a very laid back sort of an attitude. And after single cropping, they have not really gone into something known as multiple cropping. Only now they have sort of suddenly realized the potential of vegetables and now going into multiple cropping, and it is beginning to yield results already. Are you also seeking support from the NGOs in terms of generation of employment?
Yeah, I will come to microcredit. But then now that you have asked me, you see, we are only 30% of the land is double cropped. Also, we have found that when in 20 years ago, average size of the operational holding, the cultivable land, is about 1.3 hectares. It has come down in 1990 to 1.1 hectare. Now with the density of the population rising, it is now 0.6 hectare. That means about 4 bighas of land. Now it is imperative that unless you cultivate intensely in those areas, 4 bighas or 5 bighas, that's an average. Some has more, some has less. Unless you cultivate intensely, you cannot really sustain a family 4 to 6. So it has to be cultivated intensely, but also you have to cultivate a crop which gives you higher yield and higher value. And these are horticultural crops, these are spices and various spices, and these are your aromatic and medicinal crops, and various others. Now coming back to the point you have raised, that how do you approach these ones? This will be public-private partnership.
The PPP model.
PPP model. And these will be obviously, there will be groups like NGOs and other equivalents.
Have you identified
like
some NGOs?
Pathar in Assam, there is this Pathar Parichalana Samiti.
Yes.
That's the field management committees,
Yes.
or equivalent of some things of that sort. And we are trying to promote also agro service centers, like few of the youths put together and bring in an additional agriculture graduate or somebody who can teach them how to do it and assist them from this mission. Now, what we have proposed, that it should be on a mission concept, that otherwise if you leave it to the government departments, it doesn't work, because you have to coordinate with various departments. So it has to be a mission concept, and mission will be funded by the central government and by also the banks, and to some extent by the state government. So it is that concept which will spearhead this activity.
Now that the new government is in power, sir, They have a full 5 years to run the government and the state. What should be the economic agenda before this new government?
Well, I have written a piece in Statesman. Of course, Statesman is not read here very much, both for Delhi as well as Calcutta. It's called Task Before the CM. I said there that he has done a good job, this chief minister or the past government, and that's why they have more or less been elected. But he must not rest on his laurels. This is a big opportunity for him. This is the second time a Congress government has returned, and also the same chief minister has returned. And so he must make a big leap forward, a leapfrog, what do we say. He can see neighbor Buddhadev Bhattacharya.
Yes.
And look at him, despite the leftist oppositions, he has moved forward. And he has able to bring the Salim group from Indonesia, the Tatas, the Pros, the Infosys, and all of them were there. And this is a big change from there. We need to really jump now, and we got to think big. Unless we do, this is a great opportunity. We have a friend in the central government, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and he is quite, and in fact, in the last 3 years, he has given 1,000 additional crores, 1,000 crores additionally for repairing the damages of Assam in view of the insurgencies and others. And so we have the opportunity. So first of all, I think he must have a very strong economic agenda, because what I personally feel that if you really have economic development, all the other problems will subsume. It will submerge, because everybody will be after doing something, looking for money, looking for improving their standard of living, improving their living conditions. So therefore, all the other matters, the intertribal, the intertribal, tribal, non-tribal, and insurgency would all be subsumed.
Well, I hope that the Chief Minister heeds to your advice, as he did during his last tenure. Thank you for coming to NETV.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure talking to you.
Thank